if they're mutilating kids, if they're putting kids on the track to mutilation via social transition, yeah, that's bad. And the federal government prohibits it, use it. Use that law.
One group wants to give parents the tools to fight a 2023 New Mexico law requiring, quote, public bodies to protect children's access to gender transition.
What it means is that teachers, right, and schools and administrators in school districts, they're technically mandated as public bodies to protect access to gender transition.
This is where Independent Women's Forum policy analyst Nirja Deshpande is concerned.
8 districts in New Mexico have specific policies that say, that teachers and administrators are basically required to transition kids behind their parents' backs socially.
Deshpande said the best way to fight back is to use President Donald Trump's executive orders to hold these schools accountable.
There is so much federal leverage right now. The Department of Education and Trump have so many executive orders, so many directives saying, there's only 2 sexes, kids shouldn't be mutilated. Kids should not be transitioned behind their parents' backs.
Deshpande encourages parents to take advantage of the momentum to prevent an entire generation from being irreversibly harmed by these transitioning policies. New Mexico codified transgender ideology into law with HB 7 back in 2023. But the majority of parents are unaware of the bill and how it's impacting their children, according to a report done by Deshpande for Independent Women's Forum. Identity Crisis, the disjointed reality in Mexico found 54% of New Mexicans have never heard of the law. Only 15% feel they're very familiar with the law. And 90% of New Mexicans oppose minors accessing medical or social transition without parental consent. Nearly 70% don't believe children 18 years and under should be allowed access to, quote, gender-affirming care at all. And that includes 70% of Hispanics and nearly 60% of Democrats. Deshpande says while schools may only be allowed to socially transition children, it is still a gateway to medical and surgical transitions.
Social transition fast tracks kids to medical transition. Anything social is also psychological, right? So it is still a form of medical transition. It is just psychological as opposed to surgical or hormonal. But psychological is real, psychological is medical, and psychological can have very, very damaging effects going forward.
Polling found 77% believe children should not have access to puberty blockers, and 98% of children prescribed puberty blockers go on to receive cross-sex hormones.
If you leave kids alone, if you don't socially transition them, if you don't medically transition them, if you affirm them in their biological sex, you know what happens? 61 to 98% of them, per official statistics, actually just stay identifying with their biological sex.
Mexico is dead last in the country for literacy and third to last when it comes to poverty. Deshpande feels an elite few are taking advantage of the voter base.
Gender ideology is extremely elitist from its inception, right? It really started in the universities, and then it sort of trickled down through the internet to real life. And then it trickled down from elite circles to, unfortunately, the rest of the population.
While this may be law in New Mexico, these policies are showing up in school districts across the country. Independent Women says the best way to protect your children is to check your school's curriculum and make sure there are policies of parental transparency and not socially transitioning children. I'm Amy DeLaura for Washington Examiner.